All right, let's just dive right into this. There's this really powerful idea about survival that I want to explore. What if getting completely, totally broken isn't the end of your story? What if it's actually the beginning? We're going to look at how total destruction can become this incredible source of strength.
So it all starts with this image, right? You can just picture it. Someone thinks they've got you beat. They're watching you fall apart, and you just know they're smiling, thinking they've won. From the outside, yeah, it looks like a complete and total defeat.
But here's where everything flips on its head. This one question changes the entire game. It suggests that being broken isn't some final state. No, it's the start of a complete rewrite. You know, the person they thought they broke, that was just the rough draft. Okay, so how does this transformation actually work? Well, before we can even think about rebuilding, we have to completely redefine what it even means to be broken in the first place. We have to tear down that old idea. And this is the fundamental disconnect, right here. From their point of view, breaking you is the end of the game. It's a victory. They won. But in your reality, the one we're exploring, it's the absolute opposite. It's not a victory, it's a blueprint. The real work is just beginning. And here's the key shift in thinking you have to make. Those cracks, those fractures, they are not weaknesses. Far from it. They become the architectural plans, showing you exactly where you need to reinforce, exactly where you need to rebuild, but this time, stronger than ever before.
This brings us to a really fascinating power shift. We're about to see the exact moment where control is just violently ripped away from that outside force and seized by the individual. And this is a total game changer.
The whole thing is built on this pretty radical idea called self-breaking. And what this does is it reframes the entire narrative. See, it's no longer about being shattered by some surprise attack. Instead, it becomes a conscious, strategic choice to take yourself apart, piece by piece, and really see how you were built. So first, you choose to dismantle. Then, you study the cracks to find every weak spot. You learn from the damage they inflicted. And then, you rebuild. But this time, it's completely on your own terms. It's basically about beating them to the punch.
And this is where that power shift becomes undeniable. The second you decide that you're in charge of your own collapse, you completely steal their power. You're not a victim anymore, you're an active participant in your own deconstruction.
Okay, so the old self has been dismantled. What comes next? Well, the rebuilding process begins, and it is so important to understand this is not some gentle, quiet process, not in the slightest. The raw materials you're going to use to rebuild aren't shiny and new. Nope. You use the very garbage they threw at you. Every single betrayal, every lie, every backstab, all the doubt, all the pain, it doesn't get thrown away. It becomes the fuel for the forge.
And this part is absolutely crucial. This is not a passive process. This isn't about just, healing over time. This is an active, hardcore construction project where you are using the fire of that pain to forge something entirely new.
So after all that fire, all that hammering and forging, what's the final result? We've gone through deconstruction, we've gone through rebuilding. What does this new version of you actually look like? Well, think of it this way. The old self was like glass. It was fragile, you could see right through it, and it shattered easily under pressure. But the new self is steel. And this isn't just repaired glass, okay? It's a fundamental change of substance. It's been forged in intense heat, it's armored, and it's unbreakable by the same old tricks. Now this next point is really important because it clarifies the goal here. The new version of you isn't necessarily lighter or, happier. The result is described as darker, but immensely stronger. So what are the hallmarks of this new self? Well, first, your mind is fortified. All those old buttons people used to push to get a reaction, they've been ripped out and thrown away. This new you becomes completely incomprehensible to them, and that in itself is a massive advantage. Which brings us to the final, and maybe the most dramatic part of this whole transformation. The power dynamic doesn't just shift a little bit, it completely reverses, making their entire playbook absolutely useless.
I mean, the entire game has been flipped on its head. They were playing checkers this whole time, and you just came back to the table ready to play chess.
Just think about that old dynamic for a second. They had all the power, you had very little. But in this new reality, you've taken it all back. Their entire playbook, all those little tricks that were designed to break glass, well, they're completely worthless against steel.
And so what happens is every cheap shot they try to take now just bounces right off your armor.
And all it really does is make a loud noise and reveal to them and to everyone else just how powerless they've truly become.
And this leads to the final, kind of chilling irony of the whole thing. In their attempt to destroy you, they ended up creating something they could never, ever break. And by doing that, they guaranteed their own irrelevance, their own collapse.
Which leaves us with one final, very provocative thought. The roles aren't just reversed. The power has been transferred. And you just have to wonder, what happens next? What happens when the unbreakable person that they accidentally created decides that now it's their turn to start pushing?